Hi, this is Riley. I'm an audio engineer and I'm the studio manager at No Fun Club Recording Studio. In this video, I'm going to talk about why I think coming up to Winnipeg in Canada to record could be a really good idea. You could save some money, and as you'll see, this studio is incredible. No Fun Club's an inspiring spot to come record a full record start to finish. It's also somewhere you could come mix an album on a vintage console with tons of outboard gear. Have you ever wanted to try recording an album with analog tape? Have you ever thought about booking a studio to record vintage drums in great sounding rooms that you could then take home and work on your own time? Or have you ever wanted to go somewhere to record that's out of town, so you can just focus on music? Well, this studio was designed with all of those things in mind.
Good.
Of course, it makes sense if you're building a career in music that you'd want to move to one of the big music centers like LA, Nashville, or New York. There's lots of opportunities and studios, but if there's one thing that costs a lot of money in a big city, it's space. And studios like this take up a lot of space. A purpose-built studio with all its acoustic treatment, specially designed rooms, and vintage equipment. In a big studio in a major music city, you're likely to be paying around $1,200 to $2,000 for that, not including an engineer. At No Fun Club, you can get an engineer included for $600 Canadian a day, which works out to $450 USD. And when it comes to getting here, Winnipeg's right in the middle of the continent, so you can get flights from pretty much anywhere in North America, and they're not that expensive. And if you're a band or musician on tour, it's about a half-day drive up from Minneapolis, around 4 hours from Fargo. Here's a look at some prices for flying into Winnipeg from LA. This is for a round trip. These are in US dollars. Here are some prices flying round trip from New York. Here's some prices flying round trip from Nashville. And it's even cheaper if you're flying in from Canada. So here's from Toronto. And if you need a place to stay, well, we've got on-site accommodations, and they're included for free if you rent the studio space. We'll talk about this a bit more later, but we have these two nice dorm rooms with bunk beds, bathrooms. We've got a kitchen and a kitchenette, so you've got a place to eat and hang out while you're here.
It's nice.
So that's the airport. That's where you would fly in. And Winnipeg's not a huge city. It's less than 1 million, but it's a great size that you can have all your amenities and things you need while still being able to come and focus on work. Winnipeg has a reputation as a music city. Tons of famous musicians either live here or have come out of here, and there's also a ton of amazing session players for any genre you could need. And so that's the reason the studio's here. It's just a great music city. Because Winnipeg's a little bit smaller, it's out of the way, the rent's more affordable, so the studio can be more affordable, but the goal was to make a really no compromises spot for recording music. Both rooms have Pro Tools HDX systems with Burl converters, and we have Studer and ATR tape machines for a full analog workflow. In Studio B, we even have this USB interface, so you can connect your own laptop or DAW, have 24 in and out integrated just as well as with Pro Tools. At the studio, we have fast in-house engineers who are experienced in working alongside producers and other engineers.
Engineers, good.
We've also put a lot of time and energy into laying out our patch bay and providing documentation so that if you're bringing in an engineer or you'd like to do some engineering yourself, it'll be easy to get you going. Both of the studios at No Fun Club are based around vintage consoles. Studio A has this excellent sounding and extremely rare Sphere Eclipse C. Think like API, but a little bit faster and cleaner. Studio B has this absolutely beautiful Neve 5300 console, which is basically like a 40-channel 8058 in disguise. So as you can see, this really is a world-class studio, and because we're in Winnipeg in Canada, the rate's a little cheaper, but also we have a really favorable exchange with the American dollar. $1 usually works out to around 130 in Canadian dollars. And that's a pretty substantial difference. So if we record for 5 days, that's 3,000 Canadian here. But in American dollars, that would only be around $2,250. And as we talked about before, that's around the cost of one day at a big studio in LA. And like the big studios in LA, we've got a real Fairchild. Let's take a closer look at the on-site accommodations. So because it's so affordable to record here, it's not that expensive to get to Winnipeg, and we provide these nice accommodations. If you record here for more than a few days, you're going to be saving money over pretty much any similar space in North America. And the dorms are nice too. There's 2 of them. They have comfortable bunk beds. Each one has its own bathroom. It's a great place to stay. Apart from all the vintage recording equipment that we've talked about, there's also just a big selection of cool instruments and things to make sound with. This is our 100-year-old Heinzmann & Co. grand piano. It's a full grand, it's beautiful sounding, warm, and just fits any type of genre. We also have a B3. There's 2 B3s, and one of them has a Leslie. We've got the Rhodes Mark II from Fender, a vintage ARP 2600 in great condition, and the legendary Jupiter 8 from Roland. And we've got a bunch of other interesting keyboard instruments like the Celeste that's here right now. There's an excellent and very well curated selection of guitars. There's some cool stuff that you gotta have, and also just a lot of unique things. Of course, there's a great selection of guitar cabinets, heads, and combos. We keep everything updated on our website if you want to check out the gear list. If you'd like to see more, there's an in-depth studio tour on our YouTube channel. Now, finally, the mic locker at No Fun Club is just completely mind-blowing. There's a vintage stereo AKG C24, a vintage Telefunken M49, a C12A, and we've even got 2 U67s, a pair of them. There's an incredible selection of vintage and new ribbon mics. And there's a good selection of oddball USSR and Japanese mics. So everything that's useful to have and that you kind of would need, and then lots of cool stuff to experiment with too. Okay, well that's it for now. If you're interested in booking some time in the studio, please get in touch. We hope to see you here. Bye.